Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and PlayStation, I don't know, I think they just want to keep making some mistakes going forward, but today's video is going to be a bit more positivity, okay? I'm going to go into this with an open mind, so before anybody in the comments writes, look at this guy, a Microsoft employee, brother, I wish, but let me point out one thing very clearly. I am a PlayStation person, okay? I have probably put more of my money and time into Team PlayStation than any other system out there, and I'm a firm believer that the console wars are completely stupid. I think it's absolutely okay to crap on a company when they should be crapped on, and I think it's absolutely perfect to hype up a company when they should be hyped up. So this video isn't about PlayStation bad, Xbox good, or Nintendo good, or anything good. In reality, if you think like that, you need to go outside, you need to touch some grass, and call it a day. Remember, all these companies are multi-billion-dollar international conglomerates, so if you're actually fighting for them this hard without getting a paycheck, that's just really sad. So let's cover a couple elephants in the room that happened recently. So number one elephant in the room, obviously let's discuss this, because clearly a game was sacrificed for another game. Now if you don't know, Days Gone apparently is probably not getting a sequel anytime soon. Okay, if anything, Last of Us 1 is getting a remake. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a game that is about 8 years old already has a remaster, which plays beautifully, might I add, at 60 frames per second, and is available on the PlayStation 4 and PS5 through backwards compatibility, is getting a remake. Now, do I personally believe that Last of Us 1 deserves a remake over Days Gone? Personally, I don't really care too much about Days Gone, except it was a brand new IP. They actually were trying something. At the end of the day, you lost one zombie game for another zombie game. Now, Last of Us 1 is one of those games where, like every Naughty Dog game, I really don't care for it after the first playthrough. It'd be great for a lot of people who want to replay the game or sort of experience it again. I'm totally fine with that. I don't care. For people who say that, yeah, I want to play it with the gameplay of 2, to which I'm going to ask you, really? Because both games necessarily play exactly the same. Honestly, aside from a visual shift, you'd be pretty hard-pressed to find out which game is which if you just put them right next to each other. But anyways, I don't really care too much about that. But understand the word remake and old games. Typically, older games are the ones that get remade, right? And that's one thing I want you to remember going forward. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Jim Ryan, current CEO of PlayStation, is an individual that has had some pretty dog shit takes throughout the entire gaming scene, okay? To understand, this is a man that once said, when we've dabbled with backwards compatibility, I can say it's one of those features that is much requested, but not actually used much. To which I will say, listen, Ryan, I absolutely agree with you. Now, I think this is a little disingenuous of a statement, because clearly if you were to take the statistics of the active PlayStation 5 players right now, of course backwards compatibility is abused. There are no PS5 games aside from 4 of them that came out at launch. So of course we're all using our PlayStation 5s as PS4s. Yes, Jim Ryan, the longer a generation goes, the more people start playing the newer games on that console, okay? It's how Mafia works. That doesn't mean the feature isn't used much, okay? People do like to revisit older games, and when you can play them on the newest system, it tends to help. See, it's a nice feature, okay? It's something that gamers, it's something that we need to preserve games going forward, something that Sony necessarily isn't keen on doing. Jim Ryan is also the same CEO that said that, and I was at a Gran Turismo event recently where we had PS1, PS2, PS3, and PS4 games. And the PS1 and the PS2 games, they looked ancient. Like, why would anyone play this? To which I'm going to tell Jim Ryan, I don't know, Jim, why would you release the PlayStation Classic? Those same dog shit looking games, why would you release them? They look ancient, right? Now see, this is a really stupid argument that I want to nip right there. Older games are great, okay? In a lot of ways, when I look at older single player games, they always stand the test of time. You know, coming from a company that's strongest system was the PlayStation 2 at a time, the system that was the weakest out of all the other systems in that generation, Xbox and GameCube, the system that was known not to have the prettiest graphics, but some of the most slapping games imaginable. The fact that this is a company that now states this is a little uncomfortable, so to speak. Now, to be real with you, Jim Ryan, okay, there's plenty of older games that stand the test of time. Very recently, I've been playing games like Final Fantasy VII on the PlayStation 1. Yeah, it looks like dog shit, But guess what? The game plays really well. You know, recently I played Final Fantasy X, remastered on the PS4. Looks like an upscaled PS2 game, but you know what? The gameplay is there. The music is there. The environment is there. And for a system that was weak at the time, FF10 still looks really good. You know, Jim Ryan, even Gran Turismo 1 and 2 stand the test of time. Gran Turismo 4 on the PS2 looks ancient. That game still stands the test of time. I would like Jim Ryan to play Automodelista and tell me that game doesn't stand up visually, because that would be a fucking lie. You know, Jim, I was playing Skyrim again on my PlayStation 5. I have the PS4 version. Yeah, it looks at 4K. But the game still looks like a pile of crap. You know what, though? I still had fun. So this argument that, you know, Jim Ryan thinks that ancient games exist, why would anyone play it, is kind of stupid. And if the PlayStation boss is saying this, it definitely doesn't bode well. Now, PlayStation, like most companies out there, is actually different. The reason I simp for PlayStation this hard, to the point where when they do good, yeah, I suck them off. When they do bad, yeah, I'm really critical of it, is that this is the company that has some of my favorite IPs on lock and chain. When I see Last of Us getting a remake, it immediately boggles my mind. Listen, it's not about Days Gone or Last of Us or anything. It's about going into a newer generation and realizing that the PlayStation Vault has a lot of content in it. Why are we not going out of our way to reintroduce Siphon Filter to the masses? Why are we not going out of the way to reintroduce SOCOM when the world is playing shooters like crazy? Games like Battlefield are about to make a resurgence. Why are we not pushing for some of these classic PlayStation IPs to come out of the woodwork? Why are we not going out of our way to at least come up with the cheapest solution, a Twisted Metal game on the PS5? One that looks really good, one that has some split screen functionality. I mean, people would line up for some Twisted Metal. Again, if Sony went out of their way and advertised it just right. You know, the idea of looking at blockbuster games like Last of Us and Horizon, I accept that. Obviously, those games are going to make a lot of money. Those games look really good to advertise. When you go to E3 with a game that looks as good as Last of Us 2, obviously people are lining up. Obviously you're getting Game of the Year awards. But for a company like PlayStation that has thrived with having a diverse range of games, not just shooters, not just racers, diverse ranges of games. And we're not joking around. Sony has been really good with this kind of stuff. They have been really good delivering action-adventure games, platformers, racers, shooters, imaginable. Okay, this is a company that had such a diverse range of games that went from Infamous 2 to Killzone 2, one of the best shooters of the PS3 era, to a bunch of games in their repertoire. The fact that they have decided to remake a game that honestly didn't need one is a bit shocking. And the fact that even the boss considers some of these some of these ancient games to not be quote unquote, I guess, playable. Why would anyone play this? I'm simply answering the question, Jim. We like playing older games from time to time. Now, there's a bigger problem that I have with PlayStation, and it's something that is slowly developing, okay? Now, obviously, we know Sony has basically abandoned the PS3, the PS Vita, and the PSP. These are legacy game systems, okay? When I was a young kid, I was playing these systems, all right? PS3 wasn't so young, but PSP, definitely I was a young person. Of course, we knew these systems were gonna die. The servers were gonna go down. Unfortunately, Sony has done very little to alert me, you, and even developers about the lack and loss of these servers, okay? To the point where now even updates are failing to work. If you look at this, this is an updated list right now of games on the PlayStation 3 which are currently unavailable to get patches. Now, this isn't confirmed to be done by Sony in a nefarious way, but remember this, their storefront just went down. The ability to buy digital games has gone, and sooner or later, obviously downloading those games is going to go away. If you look at the list over here, they have games like 007 Legends refusing to update, Battlefield 4 refusing to update, Castlevania Lord of Shadows, a single-player game not working, not updating, regardless of region. You've got games like Dante's Inferno, Dark Void, Fuel, Dungeon Siege 3, Ghostbusters, and this has been happening since the 2nd of April. So this isn't new. This is a constantly updating list. Now, to understand, some of these games have updates that are necessary for trophies and generally fixing bugs. Could you imagine buying Skyrim and trying to play it again on the PS3 without any fucking patches? thing would not work a damn, all right? Imagine Metal Gear Solid 4 without those trophy patches. They would become rare moving forward. So this is obviously a problem, okay? Now, again, if Sony has made a mistake in the update servers, then this part isn't necessarily that important. But again, now, normally I'd be way more angrier, but in reality, we're not actually losing a whole heck of a lot. So let me explain. Yes, it sucks the stores have gone down. Yes, it sucks people have spent money and they're losing it. But a lot of these PS3, PSP Vita games are available online backed up in piracy formats. And in that capacity, I 100% support piracy from a morality perspective. You know, if you're going to be one of those people that says Jesus isn't going to let you into heaven because you decided to download Final Fantasy, you decided to download a PS3 game that's no longer in circulation, trust me, it doesn't matter. Sony isn't making money, the publisher isn't making money, the developer surely isn't making any money. Go for it. The only one making money is the dudes and dudettes on eBay, okay? They're the only people out there. And you know, at that point, just screw them, okay? Like, fuck them. At this point, download to your heart's content. You know, there are emulators that are available that'll let you play these games, and even the updates, as far as I know, may be somewhat backed up. That's the hazier situation. So really, we're ultimately not losing a whole heck of a lot. Piracy exists, and in this case, I 100% support it. It's a dead system. No one's making money. Preserve it to your heart's content. At the end of the day, piracy is incredibly important to game preservation. It's the one thing that cracks these games and keeps them here forever beyond the time any one of their official publishers actually even gives a shit. Now, this means digitally PS3 games are going to get a big giant fist up the ass at one point. Physical seems to be fine, at least for now. Now, PS4 is getting even worse. Apparently, the CMOS issue is becoming a bigger issue than we've expected. Now, this affects the digital, physical, and everything. We've seen this before, we covered it, but this is an example again of this issue existing. So this user is actually showing a game called Atelier Ryza 2, and a game that they do not have a connection to Sony. It's purely off the disc, as you can tell. It's a game where they do not have a trophy. So to understand how bad this is, as they load the game at this moment, it should crash at some point. So give it a second, and right here, they actually straight up crashed. The system failed. Forest reviews will be logged out of the PS4 because an error has occurred, and that's because their CMOS battery had an issue. To understand how bad this actually is, there are over 100 million PS4s that have went out. And again, if any of you care about the environment or whatever, those systems are going to become fucking e-waste, okay, if this issue is not fixed, okay? Literally, this is planned obsolescence. You want to bitch about Apple? You want to bitch about any company that does it? Sony is doing it right here and right now. This issue, primarily, I believe, is targeted towards trophies and unlocking games. It's not as if Sony can't fix this problem, okay? They have the ability to fix this problem. They could update the firmware, they could do whatever. It is already end of life with PlayStation 4. They can fix the issue and reduce the actual waste that happens because of these systems. Right now, people cannot get PS5s. You probably won't be getting a PS5 for the year at the moment, okay? Maybe towards the end. So right now, saving as many PS4s as you can is probably the ideal scenario, especially when you're still releasing games on it towards its end of life. And when it comes to this kind of stuff, when we go to the idea of game preservation, Sony has really let me down, okay? Because with their action towards the PS3, their action towards the Vita, their action towards the PSP, Sony is not interested. This wouldn't be an issue, in my opinion, if Sony had went out of their way and done backwards compatibility right. To understand how great the scenario is, to grave it is, Xbox has backwards compatibility. It's not perfect. The fact that you need to download files off of their server isn't perfect in my eyes. True backwards compatibility is right off the disc. That's perfect for me. But Xbox does do backwards compatibility. You stick a disc in, download the game, and it's there. The problem with it, okay, is that Xbox, while they've done it right, Xbox is preserving games like Lost Odyssey that doesn't exist on PC, only Xbox 360, a truly brilliant RPG. Xbox has preserved it. Congratulations. But games like Red Dead Redemption, for instance, if Xbox wasn't interested in backwards compatibility, and neither is Sony, a brilliant game like Red Dead Redemption, which has an amazing sequel that everyone loved on the PS4 and Xbox One and PC, would be gone forever. The only way those games are even being preserved right now for the long run, no tying it to services like Xbox Live or anything, is through actual emulators. Normally, I shill stuff like G Fuel, but fuck G Fuel right now, okay? Now, I don't really care if that whole thing cost me a sponsor, to be honest with you, because our PCS3 deserves all the support that it can get. These are the only people out there that give an actual crap about preserving these amazing games that Sony has created more than the company themselves, to the point where they're consistently adding updates to this entire scenario. I mean, literally right over here, you can see that they're actually making Killzone 2 available on the PC, and who knows down the road if this emulator will start supporting local area networks, some way to play with one another online. And of course, if you look at it, their Patreon is the most important thing over here. This is what fuels development. And it's kind of a shame that they only get $3,800 out of it, so definitely after this video, I'm going to at least pledge some support myself, and I highly urge that a lot of you go and pledge some support to them as well, if you want to see PS3 games preserved, at least in some capacity. This is probably the best way we're ever going to get. Sony has not even acknowledged half of these issues, so you might as well just go down the open source route. This isn't even perfect, okay? To be real with you, this is not even perfect yet. While our PCS3 is getting better, the grim reality is you're going to need a high-end computer to even use this, okay? Something with like the highest end processors and GPUs. Hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. It's going to be a while, if then, to even get this running for average people. But this is the only level of actual preservation that we have, that Sony does not care about at the moment in time. So ladies and gentlemen, I know we talked about this a lot, but Sony needs to fix this up, okay? Because I really love Sony. I have a great respect for this company, and I know they can do better, and they should do better. And what's more important to me as a gamer, as somebody that loves video games, I want preservation to be the most important thing. I don't side with the company. I don't believe in the console war. I have been on every team at this point, Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation, and that's just how you need to be, because at the end of the day, every single side gives you great experiences. The problem with Sony, at the moment right now, it seems as though they do not care. There's been plenty of issues coming out with their older systems and their lack of actual, support going forward. Their planned obsolescence, so it seems. There's a lot of issues with this company and its thoughts on backwards compatibility, okay? I want Sony to do better and to preserve these games till the end of time. But I've already taken up too much of your time. So ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.